Howdy champs, my name is Mohit and people, today I'm going to talk about the background origin property in CSS. Now let's start off straight away with the browser preview. Now this is something that we see a background that's repeating itself and it's changing its origin, and that's the reason why it's animated. Looks beautiful, isn't it? So we know that backgrounds are possible in CSS, but this must be something new to you. Animated backgrounds. We just used a single background. I have not tried this trick with multiple backgrounds, but I think it should work. Okay, so the background image that's repeating itself along the X and the Y axis. So background repeat property is set to repeat. If you don't mention, it's always repeat, and it's changing its background origin. There are three origins possible, guys. Let me show you the code. Background origin, border box, padding box, and content box. I'm using the animation property also. Alright, so guys, in order to learn this, in depth, what we'll do is I'll use some code and I'll lose some code, and the code that I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna recreate for you. I'll make it very simple for you. Okay, so let me lose some code, as I said. Okay, and lose this bit too. Right, so we have the bare minimum code left. So all we have is a body with the margin 100. So we are using in-house embedded internal CSS. It's a simple example. Then we have in the HTML out here a div with a class of pic. Div closes out here. That's all we have in the HTML. CSS is defined out here for the class pic. Width 500, height whatever, padding 50, and a thick border, which through the RGB A for alpha I'm sorry, the opacity has been dropped, so it's see-through, it's transparent now. Right, so let's take a browser preview now. Yep, very simple. How about turning this okay, never mind. Next, guys, I'm gonna use the background shorthand notation, shorthand property. I don't want the color for the URL. My URL is limejpg. Okay, that's my local folder. So this is the HTML file, this is the limejpeg, the only picture. The origin they have set to 00 X or XY, which is also the default, so I'm removing it, and let's set it to no repeat, which is fine. At this point, if I were to take the browser preview, guys, you see that the background image, which is not repeating itself, aligns itself to the start of the padding, the end of the border, start of the padding. You can see some white area out here. And out here, and that white area, wait, let me show that to you, give me a sec. Okay, never mind. This white area, if I just zoom up on this white area is because the lime image was not cropped properly. That's it. Okay, let's keep it zoomed up like this. Now if I were to, I can add the background. If I just make it repeat, let's see what happens. You see, the moment I say repeat, the rule kind of breaks, because now the image spills into the border area as well. Since the border is transparent, you can actually see through. Otherwise, the image is under the border, not over it. Let me tell you that. Okay, I can easily change the alpha to, let's say, a 1 out here, and you will be sure of that fact. Okay, so let's revert back to 0.3. Okay, so the moment I repeat, the rule, padding box, the origins being the start of the padding, breaks. But there's a way to actually counter that. If I say in the same line, padding, or rather yep, padding box, what the hell, man. And if I take a preview now, you see I have kind of countered that issue. Even though it's repeating, it's not spilling over to the border. If this was not there, see, it'll spill into the border. Am I right? Some people like to use the property out here separately, background, origin, in which case it can be used separately too, like this. The issue is still there, it spills into the background, so it's best if I actually use it separately like this, in the same line like this. Use the shorthand notation, because that is making that difference. It's not spilling into the background anymore. Okay, so anyways, we'll go back to no repeat the way it was. Let's get rid of this. Okay, and let's show you. Now changing this to border box, okay, will ensure that it gets into the border. And if I add some content, lorem 150 some filler text, lorem 180, it's fine. This is done through Code Assist package for Sublime Text 3. That's my editor. It's a Code Assist package. So you can see now we have a content area as well. And just changing this to content box. So it will start with the content starts. The image, that is. So basically changing the origin. So sometimes it starts with the content starts, sometimes starts with the padding starts, sometimes starts with the border starts. Okay, that's how you change the origin, and that's how you actually use the property. All that you need to remember is that if you're going to repeat it, like so, use shorthand notation, because if you use the longhand notation, which can be done like this, background, origin, okay, content box, because if you do it this way, sorry, it'll spill out into the padding area as well as the border. So need to remember that we will not do anything like that. Okay, now now the next is the animation part. I'm really sorry. So that's done through the animation CSS3 property, and let's say origin changer, name of the animation, duration, let's go with 4 seconds, the iteration count infinite, and the direction alternate, point A to B, B to A, A to B, B to A, right? This origin changer needs to be defined separately using the @ keyframes rule. Origin changer, guys, I'm not using vendor prefixes because most modern contemporary browsers are now capable of handling the animation property, and only for older browsers you may require something like a dash, webkit dash, dash or dash, dash, ms dash, etc. Origin changer, let's define 3 states or 3 keyframes. 0%, as I would want the background origin to be the outermost, which is border box, isn't it? For the, let's copy this, paste it 2 more times. Let's make this the intermediate position, this the final position. This should change to padding box. Okay, and the innermost content box. Right, let's see that in action. Since we are not using the background origin property as a shorthand notation, that's the reason why the background image is now able to spill into the padding area as well as the border area, but it's looking beautiful, isn't it? So guys, this way I'm sorry, I've actually taught you the background origin property as well as a little bit about the animation property, which we have not covered in detail. Okay, so this is the duration, this is the name of the animation, this is the iteration count, how many times you actually want it to loop and alternate. I'm not getting into the details of the animation property because that's a separate subject and I've covered it in detail so many times earlier. You can check my tutorials on that. Right, alternate is actually the direction, the default being normal, then you also have reverse, then you have alternate, reverse, etc. Right, so guys, I hope you found this information useful. Howdy champs, my name is Mohit, and people, I'm going to take you through yet another example so that the background origin property not only gets deeply absorbed, deeply assimilated, understood, but you also know some practical use of it, some other practical use of it. We have already seen how to use it in the previous session. Right, now you see the border that I've created out here has been created, a floral border has been created through the background property, combining it with background size and background origin property, and let's see how this was actually done. Okay, let me show you the local site folder. So if the last time we had the lime image, this time we have a flower image, and the size of it is 350 by 350 pixels, lengthwise, widthwise. Okay, right, so let's see how easily this can be done. So let's go to Sublime Text again. As always, I'm gonna use some code, I'm gonna lose some code, and whatever code I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna recreate for you guys as always. So let's delete this completely. This was 0.3, the RGBA color model, and we had no filler text, no dummy text. Okay, this is the way we started off in the last part, last session. Right. Okay, so again going back and taking a browser preview, and this is what we are left with. This is the way we started off in the last session. Okay, so we'll build on from here. Right, so this time apart from the lime image, which we're not going to use at all, we also have a flower image. As I said, it's a big one, it's a big flower. The other change that I made is, I think in the last example I'd used 20 px of border. This time I have actually 50. Not too sure what I'd use. I think it was 20. Right. So what I'm gonna do is, guys, this time I'm gonna say again bg plus. Don't need the color. The URL changes from lime to flower. .jpg. Okay, jpg. We'll leave the origin where it is, 00, no repeat. let's see how this looks. Okay, since it's no repeat, and it goes into the padding area, which is padding box. It's the default. Why the extra white space out here is because the flower has some white area all around it. That's the way it's actually cropped. If I were to show you this flower image, if I were to open it, you'll understand what I mean. See, the white part is a part of the flower itself. Very cool. Okay, and if I had to say something like a repeat X, let's save it up. This is the way it gets repeated, and it's also entering the border area as well, and we've seen in the earlier part why that happens. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say border box, taking it in the border area. Okay, at the same time I'm gonna use the background size property and say 50px 50px. This is the way you use the background size property after the x and y coordinates. The 0 0 refer to the x and y coordinates. Okay, and then you can say / and mention the size. The order is important, guys, before the repeat x. Okay, let's see how this affects. And so very simple, isn't it? Okay, what I'm gonna do is, so far so good, I'm gonna copy. So we're gonna use multiple backgrounds. Control C, put a comma and a Control V. But this time, instead of repeat X, I'm gonna say repeat Y. Okay, let's see what happens. Very, very good. Okay, and now I'm gonna go back and put a comma and paste it again, and again I'm gonna say repeat X, but instead of 0 0 the x and y coordinate, I need to change the coordinates. I'm gonna say 450 px this time for the third flower, row or column, right? Oh my god, this is too disturbing. Okay, let's refresh and you can actually see, bam. Okay, very, very good. And again I'm gonna put a comma, I'm gonna paste it like so. Everything else remains the same except this becomes 6. Just playing around with the coordinates, guys, and using multiple background images. So this I think should become 650 px. Okay, just doing some calculation, mathematical calculation. Y doesn't need to change, everything else remains to be the same. Yep, let's have a look. No, something is not right out here, guys. I'm gonna pause the video for a bit. Let me just think. Okay, so the bug was very, very simple, guys. It was just that you needed to change this x to a y. That's all. That's all. Save it up, because we need to run from top to bottom, and along the x-axis we are shifting it to position 650, and y needs to be 0 because from the top. Okay, so that should do. Yep, that's the result. And now I can remove this. I can use 0 out here for the alpha or the opacity. Okay, and just push in some filler text out here. So lorem 180, we don't even need this actually. Save it up. Alrighty, so how simple is that? How simple is that? It's just very simple, right guys? So I hope you found this information useful and you are thorough with the background origin CSS property. Also, you know how to manipulate the x and y coordinates, / it with the background size. So everything is a shorthand notation and everything works so very wonderfully. So guys, you have a good day. Bye bye. Peace.